Have you ever wondered what's the most ideal way to start publishing a comic? I mean, to make a comic debut so strong, readers get hooked in the art or story right away? Hello everyone, I am MG and this series is called Cases of Study, where we analyze other comic success and study what they are doing right, so we can learn from them and apply those principles to our work. Number 1. Cover and semi-long intro. Things you do not want to start your comic with is publishing just one page, and that page is only a cover. You may sorta get away with it if your art is incredibly good, but usually that's not the case with comics at least. People pay attention because of the art, but they stay because of the story, and that's what a comic is about. By looking at successful comics, you will see they almost always have something called a webcomic debut that has their cover or lack of cover, but at least they have like 3 pages or more of a compelling story as an intro, so readers have a reason to stay, a bigger reason to stay. For this I am showing a comic called Coarse Hands. Every site I have seen this comic on, it has 6 pages on its beginning instead of just 1, so readers are attracted to both the beautiful art and the story that has more space to be presented in more pages. Number 2. The intro should try to present your main character and make the reader care about that character. One example which was brilliant for me was The Heart of Kill in Tapastic by Kay. I hope I am pronouncing everything right, but I'm sorry if I didn't. This comic has its beautiful cover, and after that it has a powerful intro, presenting the main character, Ethan. From the get-go, we already know what Ethan loves. At the beginning we see him and he seems to have happiness. But we don't subscribe to a story that has no conflict, right? So let's see what he does. How is Ethan hurting when his dad has to be left in an institution? What he works on, and his personality dealing with people criticizing. We also have an idea of his goals and way of seeing life, so the reader can empathize with this character Ethan super fast, as it is about this soft giant that has to deal with lots of problems and we end up caring about him. So tip number 3 is to have conflict. That conflict will hook the readers because they won't know how that conflict will be solved unless they subscribe to see it get solved. This comic is certain foreshading of mystery. It gets questions like, who is this person? Is there going to be magic in this comic? What is going to happen to the character that we already care about? This is like setting up a question that is so interesting that the reader will have to subscribe to have the answer by reading the rest of the story. So, tip number 3. Transmit emotion. The reader should feel something from the webcomic debut. Many creators just do info dumping and they give too much backstory. So another brilliant example of showing a character, the character's goal, and a story's conflict right away from its webcomic debut is Mermaid's Lament on Webtoons. This comic is actually one of the most popular comics in this site, and according to Line Webtoons YouTube channel, they have this like panel of discussing women in comics. Mermaid's Lament broke record on its first week. By the way, all information sources are linked in the description right below if you want to see more. So in the first chapter of Siren's Lament they have foreshadowing. You also already know the main character's conflict and her personality. It presents Lyra, a bit of a wallflower, shy, sweet girl, heartbroken because the love of her life, Sean, is with another girl and it hurts her so much. It's quite a simple yet relatable part of the story that can hook a reader super quick. Many readers have had their heart broken at some time, or love on their life, or unrequited love, or they just want to experience love. So the author makes romance stories. Emotion is the reason many marketing experts make us buy stuff. It's what moves us, literally. So as a comic creator, Instant Miso or Narbasa was very smart to provide that feeling from just webcomic debut. And quite frankly, I think Instant Miso makes the hottest guys in Webtoons, and readers do like abs. That may seem like a tangent, but it is not. This is something that you can use to your advantage in any way. Now, that's for the story and the art. I remember for the comic I am publishing right now, Winter Secrets, I'm going to share something a bit embarrassing to me. I had started in this point the comic and I had fewer subscribers. Just that's because this didn't catch the attention of the people to the level they would consider subscribing. So that's why I added this foreshadowing that will serve a certain part of the story that will come up later. I made an extra effort to give a hint to the art that will appear in the rest of the story, because this part wasn't as visually impressive and you want to hook the reader super quick in any way you can. So yeah, this tactic has worked, though I still have things to work on and learn from. I think I missed a bit of an opportunity here because I had lots of viewership at the beginning, but as my hook wasn't as strong as it could be right away, I think I missed a lot of readers because of that. So that's why hope this video avoids you making the same mistake, or at least for your next comic you will know what to do. Another thing is, according to your webcomic hosting site that you are using, there will always be tips to help you gain more readers. So tip number 4 is to take advantage of the webcomic hosting site where you are at. For example, in Webtoons, long format comics are usually expected to produce tons of pages in each delivery. Honestly, if you want to publish just one page a week on Webtoons, you can do it. I have seen authors that do it and have around 300 subscribers within the first 20 updates. It's not something you should feel especially discouraged to do. However, this is usually not the case because the audience in Webtoons is used to long updates, so they are a bit spoiled. By the way, this doesn't happen with gag comics. If you want to publish a weekly 4-panel comic, that's okay. If it's a gag comic, you should have absolutely no problem, and Webtoons has a lot of readership, so it's really recommended that you publish on Webtoons. Now, TAPASTIC is more understanding. The rate of one page a week is pretty common and readers are very supportive even if you do that. So in TAPASTIC it is recommended that you make a strong, powerful intro that doesn't necessarily have to be as long as any update in Webtoons, and then you can go back to publishing weekly if that's what you want. Now, if you want and can make an even stronger impression and have a more successful launch in TAPASTIC, then it's recommended that you should have a strong buffer of pages already finished of your comic. Now here's what you do. You publish the powerful intro we mentioned, then for the next days you publish daily, at least for a couple of weeks, and then you can go back to updating weekly if that's what you need. Of course, the more you update a week, more readers will be able to enjoy your story and new eyeballs may subscribe to your comic. This works in any social media or webcomic hosting site. The more you upload, the more opportunities you have of new people seeing your stuff. So yeah, do what you can. The strong buffer is usually a good advice, but be mindful that it isn't easy work. If this is your first time publishing a comic, there are a lot of things that you will learn as you go, so don't wait too much to start. Tip number 5 is to be active on the forums. Now, the first time you publish a series is a very good opportunity for new people to find you. However, I also recommend that if you are publishing on any site that has a forum, like the Tapastic forum or the SmackGypsy forum, etc., read the rules of the forum and according to them, introduce your story to them. It's like you are giving a shout out to yourself. I will mention that I have seen people doing their shout out in Tapastic and nobody is paying attention to them. The way I have personally avoided that situation is trying to give back to them instead of just asking. When I started out and shared my own comic, I also asked for anybody who stumbled upon my post to share their own comics, so it was mutually beneficial. They were going to check my comic out, and in exchange, I was going to give their own comics a chance. As a result, at least in Tapastic, I had many responses, more responses than other authors. I have continued to do this in almost every forum post I do, and it does provide good results. In Smack Gyps, it doesn't really seem to have worked, but my readers did improve, so I guess I have still to find a way to make them more engaged, to comment, but at least the amount of eyeballs that saw my comic and subscribed to it did improve a little bit. And honestly, I haven't done this, but I have seen that the more you engage in a comic forum, the more friends you make, the more possibilities of people seeing your comic. And if it's good and they like it, they will subscribe to your comic. Number 6, be aware of your page format. Other couple of tips to consider for your webcomic is to decide if you make a traditional comic page format or a long format that can also be read easily on the phone. In a couple webcomic hosting sites, if you want to be featured and maybe even get paid for making your comic, they will also ask you to have a scrolling format like this. Again, that goes for each webcomic site, but at least in Tapastic and Webtoons, format is recommended for phone devices. They each have their apps. So quite honestly, if it weren't for my own artist's injuries, I would read all my comics in my phone because before getting up from bed, it's just comfortable. The format is just according to your wishes. There are still lots of successful comics out there with the traditional page format, so you decide. At the end of the day, it's your decision. With all of these tips, you decide everything. Now, that's the advice looking at these successful comics. Well, my comic is not that successful or anything, it's just in there to reflect on it. But do you have any other tips? Where do you publish? Please comment them down below. It will be super helpful for other comic artists like you, like me, and everyone else commenting. It will be super useful. That's all I have for now. Subscribe to this channel for more videos like this one. Give it a thumbs up if you enjoyed this video. My comic is linked down below, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!